Hello everybody. Welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you're all having a great day. And without any further ado, let's jump right into it. In what I would actually call slightly surprising news. The company MicroStrategy, who for the last couple of years has kind of made it their thing to take out debt against their own company to be able to buy Bitcoin. They've been doing it, like I said, for years now. The first time was $500 million. They recently did it 2 weeks ago with another, I think it came out to $800 million against the company in debt to be able to buy more Bitcoin. And then they announced 2 days after, so like literally a couple days before this video, that they're going to be doing it again for another $500,000 with debt that is due against the company in 2031. So I think a lot of people were kind of shocked when Coinbase basically announced the exact same thing. Crypto exchange Coinbase Global Inc. has announced a private offering of $1 billion of convertible senior notes, and the debt will be due, or the notes will be due, in 2030. In an announcement, Coinbase said the private offering, it is definitely a private offering, is only open to those investors who are classed as qualified institutional buyers. I guess you have to have a stamp on your forehead that says I'm rich or something. Bonds are a type of security sold by corporations as a way of raising money for investors. When a firm needs to raise capital, issuing bonds is the only, or it says one way to do it, but I mean it's the typical way that we have been hearing about. They said Coinbase also expects to grant the initial purchasers of the notes a 30-day option to purchase up to an additional $150 million in a principal amount of notes solely to cover over allotments. The notes will be senior, unsecured obligations of Coinbase, will accrue interest payable semi-annually in arrears, and will mature on the 1st of April 2030 unless earlier repurchased, redeemed, or converted, said the firm in a press release. We do not know what this money is going to be used for. Within the cryptocurrency space, we have always heard the idea of a senior convertible note or any type of a private offering in this level usually means a company is going to be using that debt to buy up Bitcoin. So the speculation is now abound as to what Coinbase is going to do with this money. Coinbase themselves it's quite wealthy. Like they're not a poor and or struggling company, as it were. So the suggestion now is that they might actually be using this money, of course, to buy Bitcoin. But once again, no one knows. It just seems a little bit weird that this news would have been made public unless it was to kind of hype people up that they're going to do the same exact thing as MicroStrategy. Normally, companies can take out debt against themselves all the time, but normally it's not announced. It happens, it happens all the time in the background. It's just that we're not hearing about it. So, in hyper speculative news, Coinbase is taking out $1 billion worth of debt in convertible senior notes. It's not due for another 5.5 years, but we know, so for those of you who also are unaware, cryptocurrency companies also buy Bitcoin. I know it sounds like a joke, but a lot of people within the space are constantly surprised when these things happen. We've heard from a lot of companies and crypto exchanges that they're also buying up Bitcoin as well. So assumption, we'll see what happens. If it does happen, you bet your bottom dollar it will definitely be in the news, because people will not let news like that breeze on by. That's the Coinbase $1 billion in debt news, maybe to buy Bitcoin. And yeah, let's move on. I assumed that this news would have been incredibly popular, simply because we've heard the other variation of this 9.5 million bajillion times. One of the longest running conversations within the Bitcoin space has been Bitcoin flipping other assets. Bitcoin, for those of you who don't know, a lot of people believe that at some point Bitcoin is going to flip real estate. That is figurative and literal. So figurative being like Bitcoin is like, yeah, it's going to be more popular than real estate. Cool, figurative. Literal is that people think that Bitcoin's market cap is going to go higher than the cumulative value of like actual real estate. Intense, I know. And then the other thing is that Bitcoin would be the chosen one over real estate. That is to say, if real estate is appreciating or appreciates, random number, at 5% per year, but because of Bitcoin's deflationary nature, we see that Bitcoin is rising comparative to the US dollar or other assets by 7, 8, 9, 10, 15% per year, what have you, random number, it works. Then people would, of course, logically choose Bitcoin. That is to say, people who have multiple properties would simply choose to not have multiple properties, have the one that they live in or vacation home, and all the rest of the money would flow into Bitcoin simply because Bitcoin would outperform. The other thing that we've always heard, it starts with a G, gold, is that Bitcoin at some point is going to flip gold's market cap. I believe that Bitcoin currently would have to go above, I believe, $700,000 per coin. This is why we heard recently from Samson Mao and a bunch of other people who were saying that sometime next year, and or depends on how long you want to continue the time frame, until 2029, that Bitcoin is going to flip gold and become like the number one thing on the planet. When I say I assume this would have been more popular, Bitcoin did flip something, and it's similar to gold, but not quite. Bitcoin, which has increasingly been referred to as digital gold, flipped silver. You know, the other thing that people have been using as a form of currency for thousands of years. In my mind, the narrative was always that thing old, that thing metal. Look at me, I'm new computer, or something like that. And therefore, Bitcoin's brand new and is going to flip this old form of currency. So imagine my surprise when we got news that think about that. You know what silver is? You know how rich people have like silverware and like silver bowls where they put other silver inside? I've never been to a rich person's house, and all these other kinds of things. It's been around for a very long time. People in ancient cultures use it as a form of jewelry. They use it as a form of currency. So when Bitcoin flipped silver, I just assumed it would have also made gigantic news. Like, we got silver, next stop gold. Nope. No one was talking about this. Bitcoin, digital gold, there we go. It flipped silver's market cap as it went past $71,000 and then set a new all-time high. In a milestone that Bitcoin has seen often since the beginning of March. On Friday afternoon, Bitcoin broke above 70,000. Early that morning, Bitcoin's price began climbing, 71,000, again 2.7%. Why are they talking about Coinbase? To show the damn. Thank you. Jeez Louise. Yeah, Bitcoin went above silver's market cap. And no one mentioned it. That it outpaced another form of currency that we've had on this planet for thousands of years. Bitcoin's been around for 15 years for context. So it just goes to show a lot of people, I don't want to say that they're not paying attention, but I guess stupid news always is more popular than any kind of real news. Do you understand what it means for Bitcoin to be one of the top 10 assets on the planet? Think of all the assets that we have. If you weren't here just about a month ago, there was a chart where we even saw world currencies, and Bitcoin was number 10. Bitcoin beat out other governments on that list. And now we've passed by another form of currency, silver. Silver's like silver. I'm not sure if I'm making that clear or not. And Bitcoin's now worth more than the entirety of silver. And whew, completely breezed on by everyone. It's incredibly important because it's a literal gigantic milestone. You want to know what one of the other more popular news stories was besides Bitcoin passing by silver? It was Elon Musk. He went to a Tesla factory and said the word Dogecoin. I feel like humanity, that we just don't have our priorities in order. It's not just me, right? Because I feel like no one, no hands are raised. Okay, it's fine. Anyway, yes, Bitcoin has passed by silver. But Elon Musk said the word Dogecoin while at a Tesla factory. So, that completely beats out thousands of years of history, because that's just the planet that we're living on now. And yeah, congratulations, Bitcoin, on constantly breaking records and no one caring. News. Okie dokie. Let's move on. Also well, sure, why not? For those of you not looking at the screen, there's been like a really weird rich person tug of war. And it's not that I don't care, but it's also like, dude, like, okay. So over the last couple of days, we had news that MicroStrategy had bought more Bitcoin. And then the news the next day was that BlackRock got more Bitcoin as well from their ETF, and that they were holding more Bitcoin than MicroStrategy. Then the next day, we heard that MicroStrategy had purchased another, 14,000 Bitcoin, and then MicroStrategy had become the largest Bitcoin holder compared to BlackRock. And then after that, we heard that BlackRock also has more Bitcoin than MicroStrategy once again. So there's like I feel like it's something that people are trying to make news, but it's not actually, it's not that it's not important. But you know how like, maybe it's just me. You know how like when you like watch the news sometimes and they're like, blah, 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 is now the richest person on the planet. The next day they're like, Bajillion is now the richest man on the planet. And I'm like, I don't particularly care because I have my own bills and I have my own stuff that I have to worry about. So congratulations on them having more money than they will ever need for the next 700 lifetimes. And this is kind of similar to it. Like, I don't particularly care that these two wealthy companies are buying up all the Bitcoin that's made and created for 8 billion people on the planet. And even more so, this is not in any way, shape, or form. Understand, I don't have a smidge of what MicroStrategy has, but the chart on the screen is like BlackRock is clearly winning. So it has taken MicroStrategy 2 years. See this red line? This is just 2 years to get to this level of owning Bitcoin. And then you'll notice something that looks like a little stick, like a Harry Potter wand maybe. This one right here is since BlackRock began buying Bitcoin. So it took MicroStrategy, once again, not knocking how long it took them. I could never do it, but it's more of a time frame thing. It took them 2 years to get here, and it took BlackRock like 6.5 weeks. So we can ascertain from the chart that BlackRock is going to win this race because that's how the numbers are work, and that's how the time frame. That's actually very popular news. Everyone was talking about it and discussing, and it's like, cool, whoa, rich people are buying. I didn't know that was happening or that was going on, but okay, cool, phantasmagorical. That's the MicroStrategy versus BlackRock. Okay. Also in lightly confusing, okay, sure, why not just do it news. Grayscale is trying to create another trust called the Grayscale Bitcoin Mini Trust with the ticker symbol BTC. How no one else got the BTC already, I legitimately don't know. The firm submitted the application to the US SEC on the 12th of March. The Grayscale Bitcoin Mini Trust is expected to have a competitive fee, I hope so, because they messed up last time, and will come from a spin-off of the GBTC, commented ETF analyst James Seyffert. He added that the GBTC holders will get some percentage of their holdings spun off into the new fund. So as far as I understand it, for those of you who have no idea some of the words that I was saying, a number of years Grayscale had a Bitcoin trust. They tried to get that converted into the letters ETF. The SEC said no. They took the SEC to court. Grayscale won. Now we have Bitcoin ETFs. Fantastic. The weirdest part is that Grayscale rose their fee for their fund to 1.5%, while we heard that other issuers had fees of 0.5%, so a whole percentage point lower. And then we got news that all of the Bitcoin that was in the Grayscale trust was being sold on behalf of their clients, and that lowered the price of Bitcoin. And now we have news that they're trying to make another trust, so not an ETF, but another trust similar to the Bitcoin trust, but now this is going to be the Bitcoin Mini Trust. And it looks like what they're doing is kind of like a stock split, but not a stock split. So if you've never been in the stock market before, what ends up happening is there's a company, like the most famous one, is a company called Berkshire Hathaway. It's run by the guy who hates crypto. Warren Buffett. It's run by Warren Buffett, and their stock, the last time I checked, like one individual stock was over $100,000. No, like actually look it up. Like it's the weirdest thing in the entire world. This is why he's so famous. The crazy part is that if you wanted some of that stock, well, you have 100K for one. So I think it got spun off into B stock as well, like the letter B stock, where basically like it costs less, but it's kind of the same. It's the same, but different. So it looks like this fund will allow people who don't want to, for some reason, go to Coinbase to go pick up Satoshis. They'll be able to go to Grayscale instead and buy portions of the fund in a mini Bitcoin fashion. That is to say, if the normal ETF has a price of 150 or the price continues going up, and each ETF, it costs $800 to get one share of Bitcoin. The mini trust, from what I've gathered by reading, would essentially be around $40 because it would be like split, like lower numbers so that it seems is more desirable and easier to get her than the actual larger one. Still not 1,000% understanding why people don't just go to crypto exchanges and do this. Maybe it has something to do with the ease and flow of money. Maybe it's easier. I'm sure it is actually, as I say it. I'm sure it's a lot easier to move your money from one trust or an ETF or something else to another security account, as opposed to having, hey, Coinbase, I need to take out $113 million. Oh, I can't? Okay, cool. See you in court. Like that kind of thing. So maybe it's this. The fee for the new fund was not disclosed. It literally needs to be zero, though. Like, that's part of the problem, is that Grayscale has not had a good track record of having a competitive fee comparative to everyone else. Neither was the percentage of the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust that will be spun off, but it says pretty sure this will be a non-taxable event for a chunk of those shares to go into a cheaper and cost-effective product. And then James Seyffert wrote on Twitter, "It's happening! Grayscale just filed the launch of the Grayscale Bitcoin Mini Trust. Expecting this to have a competitive fee, it better. It will trade under the ticker symbol BTC. How did no one think of that before? That's what also shocked me as well when BlackRock was doing their thing. No one thought to get the ticker symbol BTC. It's literally Bitcoin. It's what people are going to be looking for. And will come from a spin-off of the GBTC. This means the GBTC holders will get some percentage of their holdings turned into the mini Bitcoin fund. Cool. I don't really know what to say to this news. It's awesome. It's fantastic. It's what we've all been waiting for. I'm over exaggerating. I assume this will be popular as well in some sort of way. It better not have anything more than a 0.25% fee, because no one's going to use it. If you haven't been paying attention, isn't BlackRock's fee also like 0.25? If you want to compete with BlackRock, your fee needs to literally be 0 at this point. So, cool. Grayscale is making another trust. I swear to goodness, if there's another 4-year battle where they're trying to make the mini trust into an ETF, please stop. Just leave it as a trust. Like we get it. We can buy Bitcoin from you. Don't try another thing with a long. I'm so elated every morning when I don't have to say the name Gary Gensler anymore. Do you understand what that was for me, saying that every single day? Having to read articles about this man. That's the Grayscale mini Bitcoin fund. Wow, that's going to have a competitive fee. And yeah, let's move on. I guess continuing with the letters SEC, because they will keep haunting us. Coinbase has accused the US SEC of ignoring the law. What? When it rebuffed the company's formal petition for crypto rules. According to a filing Monday in the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Third Circuit. This sounds like nothing, but it's a lot of something. A number of years ago, and I want to say back in 2013, 2014, I want to say, yeah, somewhere around that time, I remember watching the hearing, whatever the fudge it was, where they were talking, where the Winklevoss twins were trying to get the BIT license to happen in New York, essentially allowing people to legally get into Bitcoin. Sure, why not? Amazing. Since then, there have been no cryptocurrency rules and regulations by any governing and ruling party, except for individual states who have had to literally make laws that say, like, crypto is yours. If someone steals it, it is yours. You are able to legally own crypto. That's as far as people have gotten. Oh, and taxation, because, you know, Uncle Sam is going to make sure that he gets his. Besides that, the SEC has claimed dominance over the cryptocurrency space. But when you claim dominance, you usually have a set of rules. We've seen movies before and also read history books. You say X, Y, and Z. You can't do this. 1, 2, 3. You can do this. A, B, C. You can't do these things. The SEC, while claiming dominance over the cryptocurrency space, has refused to give proper cryptocurrency rules and regulations. So, as a cryptocurrency exchange, Coinbase came together and they were like, hey, I was going to try and knock on the door, but there's nothing in front of me to knock on. I was going to knock on the microphone. And I was like, that doesn't make a lot of sense. Coinbase knocked on the SEC's door and they were like, hey, can we have a bucket of rules and regulations? And the SEC was like, and then Coinbase was like, hey, can we please understand how we have to work so that we have proper securities laws and that we're following the laws and the rules? And the SEC went, see, the silence there is what Gary Gensler has been doing. It's nothing. Boom, boom. So, for some reason, the SEC refuses to give rules and laws and regulations. So Coinbase had a petition. Remember, like those really cringy petitions that they had on Twitter where they were like, hey, everyone, let's join hands in kumbaya. We're all family, or something like that. And the SEC once again ignored them. The problem is that Coinbase, Kraken, Gemini, and Binance all have lawsuits against them by the US SEC. Can you guess why? For not following rules and regulations. Wait. Did you get it? There are no rules and regulations. Isn't that ridiculous? The SEC has claimed that dozens of companies and these 4 crypto exchanges have broken security rules, have done this to the US public, have offered this, have done so and so. This is why you might remember why there is no Binance in the US anymore, or no Kraken. And every other company has also left it because they were also sued by the SEC with claims that they weren't following the rules. So when Coinbase came forward and went to the SEC and said, hey, can you give us some formal crypto rules so we know exactly what to follow? The SEC went. Lawyers for Coinbase are arguing that the securities regulator has acted arbitrarily and capriciously when it claims authority over crypto assets while also declining to write new regulations. How is this real? Am I the only one who's like completely taken aback how this can be a thing? Can you imagine sitting in a classroom and you're writing and you get in trouble and the teacher doesn't tell you why? The whole class, you all have detention. And this happens, you have the same teacher, Gary Gensler, for multiple years, and they refuse to tell you why. You as a class, you come together. Can you tell us what we keep doing wrong every day? And the teacher looks at you dead in your eyeball and doesn't say a word. You sit back down in your seat, you lift your head up to look at the lesson, whole class has detention. How is it possible that the US regulator for the securities and, dare I say, the cryptocurrency market has not given rules and regulations? Why did Grayscale have to take the SEC to court so that we now have Bitcoin ETFs? I don't even like Coinbase, but Coinbase is completely correct here. Why would you not give rules and regulations for the space and then you file a lawsuit against Coinbase saying that they did something wrong? What did they do? While also declining to write new regulations on how those assets should be treated. Instead, the agency steered its oversight of digital assets through its enforcement actions, the company argued in the opening brief of their lawsuit. When the SEC rejected the Coinbase petition in December, it didn't offer much of an explanation for why it won't write crypto-specific regulations. Is this real? Am I being punked? Is that still a thing? The exchange's lawyers are also arguing. SEC oh no, his name is there. I don't want to read it. Anyway, yeah. I don't know why the world is so dystopian. And I hope it's just a phase. I had hopes and dreams before many years ago that eventually Gary Gensler would no longer be the head of the SEC. But the problem is that when you take out one tyrant, they only end up being replaced by another. There's no logical reason why. Can you imagine? Like, no, you don't, because it's reality. How are you not giving the law when you are the lawmaker? So, this is probably going to be a multi-year thing. The SEC is going to be really annoyed. It's not that difficult. Just give normal security laws. Like, no one, like, the market would have dropped in 2018 and we would have been completely over it by now, or forgotten about it, if you will. Oh boy, the SEC is, I don't even think that it needs to be like dismantled. Like Hester, as far as we know from the news, Hester Pierce seems to be like the only human being with a soul in that office. She said, and I don't know why she doesn't have more power. She's literally said since 2018, she's like, yeah, just give them ETFs. Yeah, give them regulations. Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with Gary Gensler. He's on that stuff again. Like, I don't know what's going on. So anyway, that's the Coinbase is completely right, and the regulators should be regulating. You can't get someone in trouble for something that they don't know that they did. What a weird video. I do hope that you've all enjoyed. I do hope that you all are having a great day. Look at this chart. This is so ridiculous. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and supporting. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. Ciao.